Welcome to Pipe Jidao Podcast. It is I, Sleazy Slimy, and this guy over here as well. I guess I have to point out.
Hello, I'm back. They let me come back for another one. I'm
Yes,
very happy.
this guy. Yeah.
What do you
So,
mean, this guy?
what are you not a guy? Oh, excuse
Well,
me. I thought you sounded masculine.
oh, thank you. No, my name's Noodle. Come on, come on. When will I earn a title?
Of a wet noodle? Is it better to be a wet noodle or a dry noodle? That's my question.
Well, I guess the dry noodle's more firm. I don't know where I was going with this. I don't. Yeah. A wet noodle's more. It can move more. It absorbs. It absorbs just like I'm absorbing knowledge from you.
Ah, yes, I'm absorbing knowledge from me. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you about Pipe Jidao knowledge. So we've introduced ourselves last time. We introduced the Pipe platform and
Yeah, we should probably
Pipe company.
introduce the company we work for.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. Maybe I spent too much time here.
I don't know. We should probably mention them at some point.
There's always the next episode, right? Okay.
Yeah, should we just talk about football instead?
Hey, mate, Spain won. I'm from
Yeah,
Spain.
but no, I know you're from Spain, and that's what's annoying. Is I didn't know this until literally like what was it, 30 seconds before we started filming, and I was just like, oh no,
That's
it's fine. As I said, I'm over it.
Yeah,
I
there's
am
always
over it.
time to make fun of you for that later. But for now, Pipe Jidao. I would to introduce what Pipe Jidao is. I would first like to introduce you to the core of where it all came from, or at least that's what we're going to say when we sell the project. I don't know if people just got drunk and decided to think of it. That is also a possibility, I guess. But don't tell anyone I said that. Okay, it's a secret. So we have a sprout where it all came from. The founding father for a reason for this, the raison d'être. That's French for reason for existing. For all of you British that only speak one language. Sorry.
Best language in the world, mate. Come on.
And that is the European paradox. Thy name is European paradox, and thou something something. I don't speak Old English anyway. You probably have not heard of this unless you've been in this space. And yeah, I did not hear about it either before I started being involved here. It's a concept that, just like any other concept, has its own fair share of criticism. If you put it into the search engine, you would see that, let's see, there is going to be a few authors from the US saying European paradox is kind of fake because you see US also produces a ton of papers and US is a lot better at making it to startup levels and then into big companies levels. Okay, that's maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm not gonna give you any advanced knowledge despite what Noodle would have you think. And thinks himself, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe he's just trying to flatter me or something. I don't know why he would do that. I have no, I have absolutely no authority in this place. Except being the podcast.
I am never complimenting you again.
Smart decision.
Every episode is just going to be an argument from now on. But should we go into what the European paradox actually is?
Oh, right, that one. Yes. So,
yes,
despite what some critics would have you think about that, that is not what we focus on. We focus on the concept that in European paradox, we have this thing where when a groundbreaking research makes it to a university project and then potentially to startup level, it actually fails as a startup. Now, why would that be? The blog about it, by the way, is on the PipeJDAO website. I'm going to read just a small fragment of it. What are the main reasons? There are 4. I'm not going to be able to comment on all of them, but here's the gist. First, an absence of cooperation and knowledge transfer between academic institutions and industry. So, miscommunication between the business side of things and the academic side of things. Number 2, finite access to finance and venture capital. So, financial problems. Number 3, a fragmented market, which I failed my economics, so don't ask me to tell you what it is. And regulatory barriers. Yeah, regulatory barriers. I can tell you even a personal story from Spain. Not to dive too much into it, but let's just say it is about 2 to 3 times cheaper to buy a house than to build a house here. That's because of regulations.
Mm. Well, that's the main thing, isn't it? Especially within the making it more sort of current to what we're doing within the Web3 space. If you look at all the the big cryptocurrency scams recently, a lot of them have come from America because in America their regulations are a lot more. I guess it allows for a lot more very cheeky loopholes, whereas in Europe there's arguably maybe too many regulations in place. Whereas, yes, it makes it safe, but also it makes everything incredibly hard to work around.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly, mate.
which is,
I have an uncle here who likes to fish, and he
Mhm.
actually has to go and get a license to fish in lakes that there's nothing there. Nobody really cares
Yes,
about the lakes. It's just there just to exist. Wow.
yes, no, yeah, because I live right next to a lake, and you have to be part of the angling society to even be able to get the key to go through the gate because they've fenced it all off. And if you're not part of this specific angling society, you're not even allowed next to the lake.
And
So it's like how all these rules and regulations that are put in place just to, if anything, piss people off. It's very hard. It's so hard living in Europe.
and
God.
how hard would that be to join that what do you call it, angling society?
Well, exactly. No one knows. There is no clear way to sort of get in, as far as I'm concerned. In fairness, I'm not much of a fisherman myself, so I haven't investigated it as much as I should have. But maybe I can cover that in a later episode. The update of if I'm allowed to fish in the
Yeah,
local lake or not.
the funny thing, on our lakes, it only costs like 10 euros for a year, but it's just a giant waste of time. Like not
Yeah,
many people do even want to fish, but you force
exactly.
people to go and waste a lot of time to pay 10 euros, and that only then they can fish. So that's
It's just stupid. Whereas, I guess wrapping it round the whole way, even back to the European paradox, is the amount of regulations that are put on projects and businesses within Europe often crush a lot of what could potentially be amazing startup companies. Um, and there's not really a defined platform where just regular people can come in and see and invest in these startup companies because a lot of them do rely on angel investors. And again, as I'm sure you may know, angel investors only really pick like the top. It's very rare that a startup company will get an angel investor, which is why we have so many or so few, sorry, multi-million like international businesses coming from Europe. Whereas like in America, you got Tesla, Google, Amazon, the whole shebang. All the big ones are in America because there's no regulations and you can essentially or how they'll have you believe sort of make money anywhere in America. Whereas here there's so many regulations, it's really hard to get your projects off the ground.
and speaking of jumping just a bit ahead, if you're a
Mhm.
project and you want to get ahead on the regulations, joining PipeGDAO is one way you could get ahead of it because if you go into our Discord, there's been quite a few questions already about the regulatory side of things, and we have awesome lawyers who do all of this, and I am sure would be glad to help you as well because
Hmm.
every
Just to let
time
you know,
I've yeah when
they
I
are very
was
cool.
oh you know the personal do you
I've briefly spoken to one, and have you ever watched Suits?
oh yeah the
Yeah,
Harvey dude.
Harvey Dent. I honestly, it might as well be him. They're very cool people. They're very lovely.
Can they also read the entire document by glancing at it once?
Yeah, I'm remembering all the dots and decimal places. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a superpower, man. if
Yeah,
you if you want to become a lawyer, you have to have the superpower first. Otherwise, you cannot become a lawyer. That's just the rules. I'm not making them. Okay.
just another one of the many European regulations. I'm afraid. You
Oh
have to have
yes.
superpowers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they're not the lawyers are so expensive. They have to have superpowers.
Yeah, it's actually I don't know if many people from around the world know this, but it's I think it's every third person in Europe actually has a superpower. We're just not allowed to talk about it. It's like a big secret, but it's like when people come over here and they're like, "Why are Europeans so different to the rest of the world?" It was like it's because a lot of us are superheroes, but we just don't mention it.
Yeah, we just
It's
keep a low profile, you know.
Yeah, like I myself have laser vision, whereas Sleazy can actually turn into a puddle at command.
Okay, look, you actually got the other way around. I am a slime
Oh,
who has the
uh-huh.
power to transform myself into a human. Okay, that's my
Oh, of
superpower.
course.
Some people think that I'm a human that transforms myself into a slime, but it's actually the other way around. Like, it's a common misconception.
I'm sorry for miss superpowering you. To apologize.
Yeah, you should be. Kneel down. You are just a co-host.
We've already established you've got no power here. We're borderline on the same level.
Well,
I'll kneel
damn.
down though. Fuck it. I'm on the floor.
Yeah. And the fourth reason that I did not mention yet is risk-averse culture and unwillingness to embrace entrepreneurship. So, to be fair, in Europe, we are not as adventurous as Americans. They would go and make, they would go make, they would take a huge amount of loans and
Mm.
make a business at 20 years old. So, yeah, that happens a lot more than in Europe. So, I guess that's a fair point.
I mean, their whole thing is freedom, you know. So I get financial and otherwise. So go them, I guess. Whereas we unfortunately do not have that sort of pathway, do we?
And speaking of what we can do to solve the above listed problems, which I'm sure you don't even remember at this point because we've gone on quite a tangent. But good for me, I got a list, so I don't need to remember anything. We obviously have the Web 2 aspect of it, and we have the Web 3 aspect of it. So, what can we do to improve the situation? Obviously, we cannot do anything about regulations, but as we said, we can connect you to lawyers who have extensive experience dealing with projects, not just yours, but also many others, and help you get ahead of the regulations so you don't get screwed in court. Because, as I remember, Rob Steele did tell us at one of the Pipe AMAs his story with a bank when he nearly went bankrupt and had to do something with the house. Another one, obviously, we cannot do anything about the spirit of entrepreneurship, but we do have now access to global audience. We are not limited to one country. We are in entire Europe. Then we are going also to Asia, and I believe I heard something about South America, but don't quote me on that.
I
I
believe we're sorry for interrupting, but I think
How dare you interrupt
Brazil
me?
is one of it. Actually, Brazil is very interesting because it's one of the countries, especially in South America, that are actually leading in Web3 development. So I think a lot of Web3 businesses, especially in like Europe, are all looking a little bit at Brazil like this potentially big money making market.
It's a good thing your buddy Sleazy speaks Spanish. If we have enough sufficient Spanish audience, I might as well make this in Spanish as well.
That's true. We should just learn different languages and produce like 10.
Yeah, it might be difficult. Oh, for anyone listening to this, we are looking for more brand ambassadors for Asia. I believe at least that we were looking for an Indian one as well as a few more.
Hmm.
I think it was Indian, but yeah, if you speak some more languages or if you are also from Europe, do come in and apply. We would be happy to see you. As I said, we cannot do anything about risk averse culture, but if we're going with Web3 is not risk averse, as probably you know by our fluctuating prices. So that that's a benefit. And the disconnect between scientific and commercial, as we said, we are a platform, so we do have contacts with the potential entrepreneurs. We have a lot of contacts with other projects. So in this sense, we can also help you a lot to overcome that barrier. And that is the
Sh-
European paradox.
yeah. Should we talk about the universities?
Right. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah. So with the universities, as you were mentioning, we're in contact with a lot of up and coming projects. Is what we actually do is we bridge a pathway with universities. For instance, I visited Cambridge with Rob, a meeting with Cambridge, bringing them onto the platform potentially in the future. Whereas we find people who have these ideas, these projects in the lab, and they want to turn them into a profitable business venture. So we sort of bridge the gap. We're a kind of platform that will bridge a gap to try and bring projects onto the platform to get investing into that.
Oh, before I forget, there was a thought just a few weeks ago. Intellectual property. A lot of venture capitals, when they invest into something, and their venture doesn't end up being super capitalist, uh, they have leftover intellectual property or IP, not IP as an internet address, but IP as intellectual property. I made that mistake all the time. I still think of IP address instead of intellectual property. And then some entrepreneurs might be interested in actually using it, and they can buy it. So in this way, any of you entrepreneurs, if you are looking for an idea, we maybe got some to sell or some to connect.
Hmm. I mean, as we both know, there's many different sorts of people in within the Discord. We built a quite a right now slightly small but still a bustling community. I say small. Currently, it's got well over 350 members within our Discord. Um, so there's all sorts of people in there you can convene, you can talk to. And every single one of them has their own experience. A lot of them are very interested in Web3. Some of them may even be exactly like you listening now. Don't really know how to get started, but the only thing I can really recommend right now is just come and ask because there's always someone online ready to help. There's a lot of conversations happening, a lot of interesting ideas get thrown around. And another thing is, it's not, there's no limits on what you can say. I've seen some absolutely ridiculous conversations happen in our Discord.
Hey, it's not a Web3 if we don't have some trolls here and there. Okay, okay.
Exactly.
If there aren't trolls, okay. Look, the more trolls you have, it is as an indicator of how successful you are. Okay, the more successful you are, the more trolls you'll get. That's just that's just how it is. You should be proud of having trolls and how you deal with
Actually,
them.
I've just noticed something that could completely change our dynamic on this podcast. So I'm in fact a senior mod in the Pipe Down Discord, whereas you,
Well,
Sleazy
damn.
Slimy, are just a PGF Launchpad member. So I think I might outrank you here. So I think
Well, damn.
I
How the
know
turns have tabled.
how to turn the table. So yeah, you know what? Shut it, mate. I'll take over now. No, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Carry on with what you say.
And I was going to say before, I don't remember why I was going to say this, but anyway, we have Layer 1X, which comes from University of Western Australia. From there, we can perhaps source some projects from other projects from that university. It's a pretty big university. We have VaynerChain, that they are pretty big guys in Philippines, and
Mm-hmm.
Philippines has quite a few interesting ideas developing there. So it's only the way up with all of that, and of course we'll only have more. Every time we add a project, we add more people to our community. And we are currently 20 minutes in, so that probably will be enough for our introduction. We
Mm-hmm.
probably said a lot more than we needed to, but
We
for the
just
next
started
one,
rambling. I do apologize. We just went on so many tangents. We,
and for episode actually number one, we will talk about the upcoming blog to do with electric vehicles. So do look out for that if you have I don't know, if you are doing something mindless and you need something to listen to. I guess you can listen to us.
We really want you to listen to us, please.
Yeah, please. We're desperate right
Please,
here. Nobody's
we're
listening to
desperate.
us.
Yeah. Batsy said if we don't get 100,000 concurrent listeners, he's actually going to make sure that we disappear. So our lives are in your hands.
Yeah, just like Joker is afraid of Batman,
Yeah.
bats, we are afraid of Batsy.
We're terrified of Batsy.
And we'll see you next time. See ya.